Hey, Peggy Lee, it's so good to see you, and I'm so excited just to talk with you today.
Back at ya.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, I'm Elayne Walker, the co-owner and lead photographer at Bargain Glass.
And I am Peggy Lee Wright, and I'm the founder of the company you keep here in Huntsville.
Yeah. So I actually first, I guess, got connected with you for the Chamber of Commerce podcast.
Yes.
And I remember when you walked in, I was like, this is one cool lady. Like, there's some really cool story behind her, and I'm excited to hear more about the company you keep today.
Thank you so much. And same. I was stoked to meet you at the Chamber, and this is just such a delight to be able to sit here and hear more about your journey and what you've done as a small business owner. So, do you want me to start?
Go for it.
Okay.
I would love to hear.
Yeah, because when we met at the Chamber, I think we were doing more in terms of one of my clients in STEM and what makes, Huntsville such a great place. But so the company you keep is a bit of a passion project that I've had for, in the back of my mind for quite a few years. I moved to Huntsville in 2011 with my family. I'm married and have 4 kids. And Huntsville was really the first town that we were in where we wanted to lay down roots. We're both former military, you're moving every couple of years, and really wanted to lay down roots here. And so we retired and really just started making Huntsville our home. And in doing that, I learned some really cool things about Huntsville. And the company is a way for me to try and see if I can make the special things about Huntsville work together. And if I can explain that a little bit.
I love that.
Huntsville's special because Huntsville has 5 enterprises that I think truly set it apart. There's not a whole lot of cities in this nation that can boast about the enterprises that Huntsville has. And when I say that, I'm referring to, we have a local and state government that is very easily accessible. We have a military presence right here in Huntsville with the Arsenal. And my gosh, what the Arsenal does for us, for the warfighter, for the nation is incredible. Again, easy access. We have an industry, whether that's commercial industry or Department of Defense, that is so robust that, we've become the largest city in the state and we've been the number 1 city in the nation.
Which is awesome.
Which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Then you combine that with the post-secondary education that we have in this town with A&M, UAH, Calhoun. You're looking at Oakwood. We have some amazing universities right around this area. And then finally, we have a nonprofit enterprise that is off the chain. And so when you make those 5 enterprises in Huntsville work together, it becomes a rising tide lifts all boats. Everyone wins, and they start to see opportunities that maybe they didn't see before because you become so siloed in your little world. And so when I talk about the company you keep, I really mean to surround yourself with people and businesses that are going to help your company elevate itself and do some things that maybe you wouldn't have done in the past.
That's amazing.
So that's the wrap up on me. But I really want to hear because you've got your hands in so many things. And so I would love to hear more about you, Elayne.
I mean, we are just doing some really exciting things. We're actually about to hit 2 years in a couple days,
Congratulations.
Which is pretty wild to think about that.
Thank
you. And along the ride, we've been able to start up the studio, which is actually where we're in right now. And that's super exciting. And basically, our focus is we're content creators, so we do anything photo and video. So for this space, we love to utilize it for podcasts, and we do things outside the studio like weddings. And my personal favorite is doing portraits. I just think working with people and capturing them in the stage of life that they're in at that moment is just so special to me. So what do we do?
I liked it when you said when you are able to take pictures and capture people in the moment and where they are in their place and time. You kind of lit up a little bit. It's like that's your passion.
Yes, it is.
In terms of that, and that shows through, which I think is invaluable when it comes to a small business owner. So.
Absolutely, yes. Capturing portraits, I think there's something to that where I was just visiting with my family, and my mom has this abundance of just family albums, and that's just so special to me because then I can look back and be like, oh, somebody captured my portrait when I was a child, but they also captured my mother's and my grandmother's and people who may not be with us anymore. And to be able to do that for people, no matter what stage of life they're in, what they're going through, you know, families all together when their little ones are running around and it's chaotic, but to be able to capture that moment,
That's very cool.
It's just so special to me. So that's just a big part of like what we do, is just loving people and wanting to tell their stories, because we are storytellers in that aspect.
I love that.
It's so fun. It's just so much
2
fun.
years and running.
2 years and running.
Congratulations.
Yes, yeah. And hopefully many, many more to come. And yeah, it's super exciting. But how long have you been?
So we just now, coincidentally, last week we hit our 5-year mark.
Yeah.
So we've been in business for 5 years, and huge milestone. And, you know, I people will ask, you know, are you glad you did this? You know, what's it been like? And it's definitely been one of the best things I think I've done.
Yes.
And exciting, and really enjoy it. Yeah. But I will also say that had I known how difficult it was going to be to be in a small business and be a small business owner, what you don't know can sometimes save you.
Yes,
if I had known
how
hard it was, I don't think I would have done it.
Right.
Because you go in with all of these expectations, and this is going to be so great. And I have a no asshole rule. I'm not going to work with anyone I don't like. And but ultimately, the bottom line is we all have a boss.
Yes.
And so
exactly.
I don't work for myself. I now work for 8 other people who are our clients.
Always
and
needing.
They're exactly. But it has been tremendous, and we're really proud of the 5 years. And again, we're really proud of the fact that we didn't let what we didn't know deter us. In fact, it was a blessing.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's kind of the thing that I'll tell you and anyone else.
Absolutely.
And that people have told me that have been doing this for many more years than I have, is roll with it. There's going to be days.
Take it as it comes.
Right?
Yeah.
There's going to be days, and there's going to be days.
Yes. So I totally can relate to that. I feel like exactly what you said, just working for many people, like that can be a lot sometimes, but it's just a beautiful thing to also be able to step back and be like, if we didn't start the thing that we did, like we wouldn't be able to touch and impact and meet so many amazing people.
Absolutely.
But there's a lot of give and take in that for sure.
Is.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, how do you go about growing a business that is so relationship focused?
Yeah. So I think you and I, even though it's 2 completely different businesses and business models, I think that statement in and of itself, we have that big time in common.
Absolutely.
Because you have to make relationships in order to truly capture the essence of a person, right? When you're taking their photos.
Yeah.
And for me, it's the same thing. I don't want to force a relationship with a client. I don't want to force a relationship with a possible partner.
Yeah.
I don't want to force a relationship with my employees.
Right.
And I certainly don't want to I don't like to force relationships in any aspect of my life.
Yeah.
But what that resonates and what that does for business, I think, is has been very surprising to me.
Yeah.
To go in and really think about not how is this going to, I mean, we're all thinking financially.
Yes.
How can I support my family? How can I not completely go in debt doing this venture, right? Yeah. But at the same time, I want to lead by knowing that what I'm doing is good.
Yes.
I want to lead by what I'm doing is going to help people.
Absolutely.
Whether that's helping them, you know, professionally or personally, I want to help.
Yes.
And I think the byproduct of that becomes the fact that you do make a living.
Yes.
You are able to support yourself and your employees.
Absolutely.
So for me, relationships are everything. And I talk about that. I play off of that on social media with the company you keep. I talk about the company you keep. It means everything, and how you really do need to surround yourself with people who you can truly have those relationships with.
Yeah.
When I have a client, I completely know what their business does.
Yeah.
But first I learn about them.
That's right, yeah.
Because everything about them is the segue that I'm going to be able to humanize them, their product, their business for who I want them to partner with.
Exactly.
And so for me, when you say relationships and how do you cultivate that, I try very hard to make it natural. I don't try to force it. And I think that becomes the story.
Absolutely.
And I love that is a connection that you and I have, considering we're in such different spaces. So if you could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I completely agree with everything you just said, especially like in art instance. Like a perfect example would be like when we're shooting a wedding, you know, like we can go in there, we're shooting the day. That can be like a one and done deal. We're done. But I think it makes a huge difference when we're able to connect with the client, connect with the bride and groom, learn a little bit about their backstory, how they met, so that when we go into the wedding day, like it's fun, it's lighthearted, we're able to think ahead and like capture a shot that maybe we wouldn't have thought would have been important to them, but now we know is. So just that aspect of things, like people are just so important and everything about them is so important, especially in what we're doing. And it's our job in these situations to showcase that, you know. So I think that's really cool that we both have to kind of work to.
You're kind of building and seeing these relationships from their most personal vantage point, which is the big things that happen in their lives. And I'm seeing the relationship from probably sometimes the biggest professional venture that they're trying to do. But we're both having to ensure that there's a connection there.
They're comfortable.
Absolutely. Because that's when the magic happens.
Absolutely.
When people are themselves. And so that's the thing. I was with a client last week and we had a really big meeting. And the person that we were meeting with, can be very intimidating because of their position and what they've done in their life, and very impressive resume. And so my client was really stressing out. And so what I did was this very impressive person that we wanted to partner with has put out some YouTube videos and things about professionalism and in the workspace. And I had him watch it because in these videos, he's very humanized and so personable and so fun. And I took something like a Behind the Cubicle or what you would do for photography. And I used it to show my client, this is the real person that this person is. We're going in there. He's, impressive. Yes, the person that you want to say, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing idea I've ever heard. You're hired. But he's just like us.
Pulling those walls down.
And it made all the difference in our meeting. All the difference in the world. And we definitely, it was very successful. But it's that part of taking what you do. And combining it with what I do. And that is where this magical thing happens.
It's amazing.
And so,
it's also,
so this has been, I just, you know, who knew when I walked into the chamber a couple months ago. I love that. Finding synergy.
It's so fun. And, you know, I don't know if it feels this way for you as well, but like even to add to that, like it helps me to perform better when I'm able to like, you know, see the more like real side of you or just anybody we're working with, because then I feel like I can actually share a real side of myself. And
That's right.
Like you said, that magic is just,
can't
beat it.
It's wonderful. And so here's what I want to know. Okay. How long have you been in Huntsville? And what made you want to venture out? Because for anyone who's listening and not watching, you're stunning. You're young. You have such great energy. So I want to hear kind of what made you go, yes, I want to be an entrepreneur at now, because it took me, and I didn't pull that trigger until age 50 and about to be 55. So the fact that there's a young person doing it excites me. I want to know.
Yes, which you're so sweet. Thank you. I mean, I'm originally from Georgia. My family is still there, but we came to Huntsville, in 2016, because my stepdad was starting the Whole Foods that is here in Huntsville.
Oh, and we love Whole Foods,
it's
honey.
The best.
Yes.
So good. But once, you know, he got up and running, like that's kind of what my family is all involved in, is like retail, food service.
Gotcha.
So I saw a lot of like the stresses that came with that. And I think people who work in retail have a gift all on their own.
Yes, they do.
It's amazing. But I started to like realize that may not be the direction that I'm wanting to go, even though that was something my parents thought, you know, it's everybody's doing in our family.
Absolutely.
You just carry that through. And I finally just got to the point where I was like, let me try to do something different. I started out in nursing, which also total curveball for me.
Wow.
Love people, but that's
it's
a
the
different
people
element.
Thing again. Yeah. But instead of people at their best for photo taking, you're seeing people at
the complete
their worst.
opposite.
Yeah.
Yes. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, I did that for about a year. And then I was like, you know what? This is just not it. And COVID hit. We actually got laid off my unit at the hospital. So I took that as kind of like my sign to be like, let's try something new. We're going to do something different. And my husband, he actually was working at our church at the time, but doing videography. So we both had this like common ground of like, we love taking pictures. We love capturing people. What can we do with that? And so that's where the ideas of Barred in Glass started to become.
Oh, I love it.
We were doing business separately up until we got married. And that's when we were like, you know what? We're living in the same house. Like, let's just chase this dream together. Let's do it all as one, under one umbrella. And it's just been like having your own business is just something that like I never would have thought I would have ever done. But I have no regrets doing it. I think it's the best thing ever. Yeah.
It's the coolest.
And I don't know. I think if I could encourage like anybody, like if you're unsure of what you want to do, like chase the thing that you love the most. Cause that's how it all began for me, right? Was in middle school, I took pictures of my friends and our little cute photo shoots, I was always the one taking them. But that's where like the love started to be like develop, and it's just always carried through with me. But I was chasing other things, trying to find the perfect career.
Absolutely.
And ended up just going with the thing that I love the most, which is taking pictures.
That's
and
fantastic.
It's working out.
Well, congratulations.
Thanks.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Super, super fun. But yeah. So tell me, how did you like kind of just dive into what you're doing with the company you keep? Like what started that dream for you?
I grew up in a military family.
Yeah.
Several years back of military family. And I was 1000% not going to join the military.
Yeah. So
I went to school and, left home and went to school in New York, and the first Desert Storm broke out and came home to visit family. And a mentor of mine literally was like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, this is your calling.
Yes.
And so on my very long drive back to New York from that visit, I knew it was right. And so went into the military and flew Black Hawk helicopters for a while. And
awesome.
That was amazing. Met my husband, who was a special forces officer. So, we really thought we were cool at one point, having 4 kids completely changed our, how we felt about ourselves, because they truly don't think there's anything about us cool.
Hey, you guys are super cool in my opinion.
Yeah, thank you. I'll bring you over to the house. Let you tell the kids that. And so I was looking, once we started having kids, I mean, I ran the gamut. I still wanted to be, I still wanted to have an input. But we had 4 kids. And so I ended up being a stay-at-home mom. I homeschooled. We were moving every couple of years. So I was the consistency for the kids. And when we decided, I got out after 10 years. And when my husband decided to get out after 23 years, is when I said, well, hot damn, I get to go back to work. Like we're staying in Huntsville and I get a career again. And I had been doing little things like consulting, but nothing big.
Yeah.
And so I went back into the workforce and did a few things consulting within education, and then ended up teaching and then doing some advancement work. And then one day there was just kind of like this light bulb.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned this at the chamber. I went through Leadership Greater Huntsville.
That's right.
And that made me feel so connected to the community. And that was the thing I was missing.
Yes.
Was I wanted to be finally connected to a community after years of us being connected to the military.
Right.
And that's what kind of started me on I started doing a lot of nonprofit work. And then, as you said, you're capturing people at their best in their photos, right?
Yeah.
When you're doing nonprofit work and you're volunteering your services, and you're doing it for the right reasons, there's something magical that comes with that.
Yeah.
And people see what your heart is, and they get to know you on a level that is different because you're volunteering and you're giving to something to help the community be better.
Absolutely.
And so the byproduct of that was when I said, well, dadblummit, I think I can run a company.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do this.
Right. Yeah.
That was the byproduct, is people who I had worked with doing volunteer work and charitable work said, well, if that's what you do for free, what the hell do you do when someone's paying you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so that's kind of how it started. And my biggest champion was my husband. A couple of years prior, he had started a Department of Defense company. He's now at close to, I want to say 70 or 80 people. And he just won the Veteran of the Year award in Huntsville for businesses last year.
Amazing.
So he was very inspirational.
Yeah.
Now, unlike you and your husband, there's not a chance that he and I could say, let's work together and put this all into the same.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh. Like, I tell him enough to do at home.
Right.
I think that.
That's as much as,
You two are magical, and I applaud you on that. This is how we realized, and this is just a funny caveat, we realized on Sunday, we're sitting there, all the kids are out of the house. Yeah. 2 are in college. The other 2, when I say out of the house, they were at their jobs.
Yeah.
My husband and I are saying it's like 9:45. We're watching House of Dragon or something like that. It's a Sunday. And I look at my phone to check, okay, tomorrow's Monday. I probably should look at my calendar.
Right.
And I look at the date and I look over at him and I said, honey. And he goes, yes, dear. And I said, today's our 27-year anniversary. And he's like, oh, happy anniversary. And I'm like, happy anniversary. Because we're just so busy.
Yes,
but when, we laugh about it because when every day is, it's a good life.
It's its own adventure.
It's its own adventure. It's a good life. Every day is an anniversary of something. But we joke about that. Like, we can't even, we don't talk enough.
Yeah.
To even remember, we might want to celebrate this.
Right, right. That is so funny.
But yeah.
So funny.
But it's a good life, and we're thankful to be in Huntsville. We're thankful for what the town has done for both of us.
Yeah.
And so we truly try to give back.
Yeah.
That's our big thing now.
Yeah.
We want to give back. The town has grown. It's done so much for us, both personally and professionally, not just for my husband and I, for our employees, for our kids, for our employees' families.
Yeah.
So now we want to give back. So we really work hard to give back to the military and veterans. We work hard to give back to children in education. We work really hard to give back to the community in ways that we see the challenges.
Oh, yeah. And it's a beautiful thing.
And it goes back to those 5 enterprises that make us so special. If we can find a way to give back to those 5 enterprises, it just continues us being the number 1 city in the nation.
Just making it something amazing.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like, I've just so enjoyed hearing more
back
about
at you.
Yeah, it's just so
You're
cool.
inspiring me. I feel young today.
I feel the same about you. This is so fun. Yeah.
I feel young today. I'm going to go out and do great things. Take pictures of someone.
And it sounds like you're doing amazing things. Yeah.
I'm
which
trying.
is really, really sweet.
I'm trying. And thank you.
Yes.
And thank you for what you're doing. Yeah. And thank you for being a just wonderful, warm, kick-ass boss lady who's in Huntsville making it happen, and
right back at you.
And being that light for young people in our town that say, I don't know what I want to do, but I want to be like Elayne. So that is incredible, and more people need to hear that. So
that's
thanks.
So sweet. Thank you. And thank you for all the amazing things you're doing for Huntsville and just making it the amazing place it is.
Well, it's a great place.
You and woman-owned business like that already, like you're just paving the way for all of us.
Thanks.
It's awesome.
Well, it was done. There's a ton of amazing female CEOs out there that did the same for me. And there's a ton of women who are in jobs working within DOD or commercial or nonprofits that have an entrepreneurial spirit, that even though they may not be business owners, they are bringing that entrepreneurial spirit to their job. So we've got a great,
it's amazing.
Women are a force. We've got it's crazy here. So, so there's more to come for you and I.
It's good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for chatting with me today and just filling me in on all the cool stuff you're doing.
Same with you. Appreciate you.
Thanks.